Hey guys, I'm Teresa and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time visiting, hello! I am Teresa Foss of Teresa Foss Beauty. I am a makeup artist and beauty guru. So my channel really focuses on beauty specifically for, but not exclusive to, Asian eyes and women over 40 because yes, in fact, I am 48 years young. So let's get to it. If you have not subscribed yet, please hit subscribe and follow so that you'll get notifications every time I upload a new video and tutorial. Today, I want to talk about something that I hear a lot as a makeup artist. I hear a lot of, oh, I just want something natural, or I don't want to look like I have a lot of makeup on. And I think that the misconception is that a lot of these things you see in magazines and on Instagram where it looks like it's the no makeup look. The no makeup look actually has a lot of makeup that it takes to get something to look natural and last all day. So today I want to talk about skin perfecting and what it really takes to get your skin to look like it's perfect when it's not. All right, let's get started. Okay, so what I have on today is just a very natural everyday look. You know, a lot of people's everyday look is different. What people think is natural may not be natural for somebody else, but for me, this is what I consider natural. So how many products do you think I have on my face? The trend lately is that natural glowing skin, but it's really hard to get that natural glowing skin with just a couple products. And so I want to talk to you about the realistic version of what it really takes to get this natural looking skin and what products you need to use for it based upon what your needs are. As I've gotten older, some of my main skin concerns are my melasma. As an Asian woman, we are more susceptible to getting dark spots from the sun, age spots, acne scarring. And these stubborn spots can really cause a problem when you're wanting that really perfect complexion. So I'm gonna go over today how to cover those. Dark circles, we all have them. As we get older, they get worse. So I think every client I talk to thinks that their dark circles are definitely the worst dark circles they've ever seen. So we're gonna go over how to conceal dark circles and really brighten up the face. A lot of people want that quick and easy morning routine that takes you 10-15 minutes. And I'll tell you, this did take me 15 minutes to do. However, there are steps. And the more meticulous you are with those steps, and the little bit longer that you take, it's going to have a better outcome and it's gonna last longer. I know we want quick and easy, but if you really want that skin perfecting look and you really want it to last all day, you do have to spend a couple of extra minutes doing these steps. All right, so what I wanna start with is I have my face on. I'm gonna actually take it off so that you guys can see what my skin actually looks like underneath this. Right before I take off my makeup, I'm gonna do a disclaimer. I do not recommend just removing your makeup with a makeup wipe and then reapplying more makeup on top of it. I'm a huge believer in skin prep and skincare, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not gonna go to the sink and do my entire like double cleanse and everything like that. I am gonna use some of my favorite makeup wipes from higher education. These cheap sheet wipes I absolutely love. They really remove makeup quite easily in between steps here and there. For something like this, these are amazing. All right, so here we go. As you can see, as I unlayer this, you can see some of my dark spots in my melasma. This really didn't start coming out until my 40s. And so I guess if I could tell my younger self something, that would be to take better care of my skin when I was younger. Sunscreen. Sun is really your biggest enemy when it comes to aging. If you are Caucasian, you are definitely more susceptible to wrinkles. Your skin is thinner, you have less melatonin, so you have less collagen in your skin. If you are Asian or African American or a woman of color, you're more susceptible to these melasma dark spots you see from the sun. So now you can see half my face. I think when we're younger, it's really exciting to try makeup, and you don't really educate yourself on skincare until much later. And so what I really want to enforce is that skincare is so important. If you've started wearing makeup, whenever that is, you should really start also taking care of your skin. Because when I hear people say, oh, makeup makes me break out, makeup doesn't make you break out. It's how you're removing your makeup and taking care of your skin that is making you break out. So again, I'm not encouraging you to only use a makeup wipe to take off your makeup. For the sake, we're just using the makeup wipe for right now. I wish I had gone over this part when I had makeup on, but here we are and we're just gonna do it. Skincare prep is so important, and I can't tell you how many times a client has sat in my chair and I asked them about their skin and they really don't know. They don't know if their skin is dry or oily. They're using maybe a face wash and a moisturizer. And that's just not enough, ladies. It's not gonna cut it. I know, again, we all want quick and easy, but if you want to age gracefully and you really want your makeup to look great and last all day, you need to take a couple extra steps. So set your alarm 10 minutes earlier and get up. You can do this. First thing, the step that I see most people leave out in their skincare regime the most is exfoliation. If you are not exfoliating on a regular basis, you are gonna get skin that has texture. If you've ever felt like your makeup looks cakey, you see it on your skin, that is actually your skin. Anytime you're using a makeup with more coverage, full coverage, it's going to show texture versus something that's more sheer. So if you want something with more coverage, it could cover your melasma and your dark spots and your dark circles, but it could emphasize texture more. Texture meaning if you have dry, dehydrated skin, flakiness, large pores, that's all going to be showcased more the more fuller coverage foundation you have. Also airbrush foundation, which I honestly cannot stand. A lot of people ask for that with bridal. That emphasizes texture. Imagine that foundation going through that air gun. You can't get this beautiful textured foundation that has all this amazing skincare in it through an airbrush machine. It's one size fits all, and not everyone's skin is one size fits all. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of airbrush makeup. There are so many amazing traditional foundations out there now that you can really get a better skin match for your tone and depth, and also for your skin type. So when you're thinking of skin texture, if you're not exfoliating, your moisturizer is just literally sitting on top of that dead skin, and so then everything else that goes on top of it is just gonna sit there, and that's where you get the cakiness. So if you feel your face and it doesn't feel smooth, you need to exfoliate. And there's many different types of exfoliators out there. We can go over that in a different tutorial. So my skin is exfoliated. I'm gonna use a little bit of a serum. This one I really like. It's from Chantecaille. It's the BioLift Serum. This is just gonna plump up my skin. It has peptides in it. It's firming, it's anti-wrinkle. Anything thinner, like a serum, is gonna be more jam-packed with nutrients, and it's gonna absorb into the skin faster. So if you're really gonna spend money on a skincare product, it should be a serum, because this really absorbs into the deeper layers of skin. And I find this one really plumps up my skin nicely for makeup. And when you're doing your skincare products, remember, thinnest to thickest in texture. So your serums go on first, and then you follow with a moisturizer. Now, if you have under eye circles or dark circles or puffiness, it is really important that you're using an under eye treatment. Again, I like a lightweight eye serum for daytime, because that way it won't be too many layers underneath the skin. Makeup is gonna move, you guys. It would be really weird if your makeup didn't move all day. I mean, your face is moving, you're laughing, you're smiling, you're drinking, you're eating. Unless you're gonna sit like this all day, your makeup is going to move. It's just gonna happen. So the trick is, for it to look natural and last, is to use thin layers. That's why I don't wanna use a really heavy eye cream for the daytime. So this one's one of my favorites. It's from Chantecaille. It's the Rose de May Eye Lift. What I really love about it is this little metal, what do you call this? Massager thingy. So I just do one pump, and you're just gonna start massaging underneath the eye area. First of all, it feels amazing, but also if you have any dark circles and puffiness, this is really going to help with that and help your concealer lay on a lot nicer so it doesn't collect in the lines. And the cooling tip on this actually helps depuff the eye area. So I usually just do this for about a minute on each eye. Trust me, it makes a difference. And then if you have any excess, you can just kind of go back over it with your finger and pat it in. And anything that you put around your eye area is also great for the lips, because the skin here and here is much more delicate. I use my ring finger for any products I'm applying around the eye area, because this is actually your weakest finger. You don't want to use these two fingers. You're going to rub and tug too much. Yes, it actually makes a difference. These two fingers are too strong. You're going to pull your skin too much. You just want to gently pat. Pat, 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 pat. Next up, I use a sunscreen. I am using vitamin C to help with my melasma, my dark spots. So it is really important if you're using a vitamin C or a retinol or anything like that that's active, that you wear a sunscreen every day. And I use a separate sunscreen versus a sunscreen in my makeup. And this is why. Not all the time do you wear foundation in the daytime where you need a sunscreen. Maybe you're going out in the evening. Why wear that if you don't need it? A sunscreen and a foundation really doesn't do anything for the formula of the foundation. So it's just, do the extra step, guys. Wear a separate sunscreen, because the amount of sunscreen you need to actually give yourself protection to not get melasma, you would be wearing like a cakey face of foundation. So there's no amount of foundation that's enough that's going to look natural and also give you the appropriate amount of sun protection. So I'm using, again, the Chantecaille. This is actually a primer, 45 SPF. I use about that amount, sorry, on the whole face. That didn't look great, did it? Now, a lot of people are worried about getting that like flashback look on their face. So anything that's a physical sunscreen, meaning it has more zinc oxide in it. A lot of baby sunblocks have that. All natural sunblocks have that. That is going to give more of a whitening effect to the skin. But if you're wearing your full face of makeup, honestly, it's going to cover all that up. But if you're still worried about that, then you should look for more of a chemical sunscreen. Just know that chemical sunscreens can have a little bit more irritants in it for someone who's sensitive. Skin is fresh and primed, so now we're ready to conceal. So the first step I'm going to do is color correcting my melasma. So when you're looking at covering up blemishes or scars or melasma or dark spots or what have you, look at the color of what you're trying to correct. And if you've ever taken like an art class with color theory, you want to correct with the opposite side of the color wheel. So my melasma is like a darkish brown purple color. So the opposite color on the color wheel is something orangey or peachy. I have literally tried almost every concealer on the market to try to figure this equation out for myself. So this is something I've really perfected over the last couple years and tried a lot of products. Now, I have to use 2 different concealers, and I know that sounds like a pain, guys, but let's be real. What's more important? It really looking good and lasting, or saving one extra step? It's up to you. But if you really want it to look the best, I need 2 different concealers. Underneath my eye, the skin is much more delicate and dry. I can't use a matte concealer underneath there because it drags too much and it doesn't look good. So I use more of a radiant, creamy concealer underneath my eyes. And then for my face, for the dark spots, I use more of a matte concealer. That way it sticks more and adheres to my skin and it lasts longer because I'm a little more oily. And also because when you're talking and moving your face around, this concealer is going to stay more than a radiant, creamy concealer underneath the eye area. Hopefully that makes sense. 2 of my favorite concealers that I really love for my melasma. The first one is this Nars color corrector in a deep peach. This comes in like 4 different colors depending on the depth and tone, the depth of your skin tone. I'm kind of like a medium, so this is the, I think this is the second one. Oh, it's so little. Yes, this is the medium one. There's, I think, 4 of them. I also really love this Hourglass concealer in Topaz. Now this might be too dark for someone more fair, but if you're like a medium kind of golden skin tone with melasma, this is a really great shade. I'm going to show you on my hand what I mean when I say it's more peachy. And then the Nars one is really peachy too. So I really like both of these. So you can kind of see the color. It does not match my skin tone. It's more peachy and orange, so it's going to cut that darkness that I have in the melasma and the dark spots. Now I have to be honest with you, this Nars concealer I hated when I first got it because I could not figure out, I found it to be really runny, I didn't get it. So here's the trick with this Nars one. It is a little thinner texture, so I apply it first and then I let it sit for about a minute before I start blending it out. So a little bit goes a long way. We want to do thin layers. Thin layers is the trick for it to look natural and last. So I'm going to do just a little bit right here in the divot where I have the dark circle. Just where I have that divot. And then I'm going to go over any of the little dark spots that I really don't like. Okay, so this is where I went wrong when I first got this concealer. I went in too quickly, whoops, and started to try to blend it out instead of letting it sit for a minute. I want it to sit so it dries down and gets a little tackier, and then I'm gonna be very specific in how I blend this, because if you blend too hard, you're gonna blend it away and it's not gonna do what you want it to do. So we're gonna just wait a minute and then I'm gonna show you what I do. The brush I'm using is a MAC brush. It's a small flat brush. This is one of my favorite brushes. I am sorry to say that I don't know the number, but I will put it in the comment section so you can see the brush. I think it's 224, 242. I don't know. Anyway, forget about that. It's a thin flat brush. Instead of wiping, we're going to use a technique called stippling. Stippling is when you're almost kind of patting the product into the skin versus wiping. Okay? So we're gonna pat, stipple. I'm not using a ton of pressure. I'm just gently patting that product and really trying to keep it in that dark spot. So if you're going in here like a mad woman and trying to blend too quickly, you'll probably make a mistake. So just leave yourself a couple extra minutes so that you can be a little bit more meticulous. I promise you, in the long run, it won't take you as long. So I'm using very little pressure to blend that product in. And I'm blending it so I'm diffusing the edges, but I'm kind of leaving it a little bit. So remember, you're just patting the product onto the spot. And I know right now it looks kind of crazy. You're like, this does not look good. But trust the process. So again, just gently patting the product into the spots. Notice I'm not doing this. I'm not dragging the product. I'm pressing it in. This side's doing a little bit better because I think I didn't wait long enough on the other side. So it really does make a difference with this particular concealer. But I do find I like to use this technique even with the Hourglass concealer when I use that one too, is to just let it dry down a little bit and then pat it in. Some people say, can I do this with my fingers? You can, but most people don't have a gentle enough touch and end up wasting a lot of that product and it ends up on your hand. So I really feel like you can be more precise with a small flat brush and just patting that in. And then same thing with the under eye. I'm just using the color corrector in that divot where I see the darkness. So you can see I'm using very little product. Most people overuse and put too much in, and that's why your stuff is gonna crease and look thick. This is probably my most stubborn spot. I'm gonna actually put a little bit more on there because I think I actually blended it too soon. And I'm gonna let her sit for a second. Okay, so I let this one dry a little bit more, and now I'm gonna kind of feather the edges out around the dark spot and then just kind of pat over the spot with the product. She's a stubborn one, that spot. So kind of looks like connect the dots all over my face, but now I have color corrected the things that I don't like, because when you try to put just like a regular foundation over those spots, it's just gonna make those spots look kind of ashy and gray. So that's why we have to color correct first. Now, I don't want to disrupt what I just did, so I'm going to take just a little bit of a setting powder and go over those spots ever so lightly. I'm using the Mercier translucent powder, and I'm taking a really tiny little brush with just a little bit of powder, and I'm going to go doot, 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 just ever so lightly over those spots. This foundation is from Luminess, and it's a really unique foundation. It's called an airbrush silk foundation. The color is not exact for me, and honestly, most people's faces are not one color, and that is why it is so hard to go into a store and try to find your foundation shade. The truth of the matter is, guys, when I do foundation on a client, I rarely use just one color. In fact, I hardly ever use one color. I usually use 2 to 3 colors and 2 to 3 different concealers. So that's the reality of it all. To really make skin look flawless and natural, no one's face is one color from start to finish. So can you do that? You absolutely can, but I use two different foundations on myself. So I'm going to use this foundation in the center of my face because I feel like it has really great staying power. It's a little lighter than my natural skin tone and it stays on really well. This is the brush that goes with the Luminess Foundation. All you do is just kind of spray a little bit on there, not a lot of product. Now again, we're going to stipple, we're not going to wipe. Stippling means the first place my brush hits is where I'm going to get the most amount of coverage. So I usually start in the middle of my face where you can really see my melasma. Now you don't see the orange spots, do you, on this side? Again, I'm just going to do spray. I'm going to start in the center of my face and blend outwards. Center of my face needs the most amount of coverage. Most people don't need as much coverage around their hairline. So again, wherever you place your brush first, you're going to get the most amount of product in that spot. And instead of wiping, which is going to get rid of the color correcting we did, I'm pressing the product into my skin. So next, I'm actually going to use a second foundation. This is one of my favorite foundations. However, I am super oily and this foundation doesn't always agree with me in the center of my face because I'm oily, but my cheeks and the rest of my face are actually really dry. So this foundation is almost, I think, 60% water. This is Chantecaille's Future Skin. It's a gel-based foundation, but it's oil-free, but it's super hydrating. So if you are dry, it's amazing. It feels like a drink of cool water on your skin. If you're oily, it is oil-free. Just know that it gives you a more dewy finish. So I actually like to use this around the perimeter of my face. The color actually matches me better than the Luminess one. The Luminess one has a little bit more of a cool tone to it. I am definitely more of a warm golden undertone. If you are not sure about your undertone, a good way to look at it is, do you look better in gold jewelry or silver jewelry? If you look better in silver jewelry, chances are you're probably a cool undertone. If you look better with gold jewelry, you're probably a warm undertone. That's just a quick tip. Some people are neutral, some people can do both. If you're that person, then good for you. All right, so now I'm gonna take the Future Skin and I'm gonna go over the perimeter of my face because this really does match me a little bit better. It's more of a golden undertone. And I find that I really don't need as much coverage on my forehead, so I don't use as much up there. So listen, if your face doesn't need it, don't put it there. Just use a little bit. That's why I concentrate the heavier foundation and most of the coverage in the center of my face because the edge of my face doesn't really need a lot, but I just put a little bit on to give it more of a seamless look. So now I've got all my foundation on. The only thing left that I need to go back over is my eye area. So now remember, I did not bring the foundation up to the eye area. Why? Again, thin layers. The more layers you have underneath the eye area, the more it's going to migrate, increase, and move around throughout the day because that's the part of our face that moves whenever we talk, right? Foundation really isn't made to be around the eye area because it is a thinner texture. So that's why they do make separate concealers, which are a super concentrated version of a foundation specifically made for those areas of the face. I also like to use a concealer around my eye area that's more radiant and less matte so it doesn't drag, and also because it just brightens the eye area up. So there are two concealers I like. I've been using the Nars Creamy Skin Concealer, which is the counterpart to this color corrector. A new one that I've been using and I really like is the Haus Labs Lady Gaga's line. This is medium golden. It has like a little bit of a peachy tint to it, but it's very radiant, which I like. So I'm going to use this for my under eye concealer. So I'm just putting it, again, where I see the darkness. And I'm going to use a little bit on my upper lid too. Why do I put it on my upper lid? I actually don't like to use a shadow base. I think a concealer does the trick. This conceals the discoloration on my eyelid and it works as a nice shadow base. Thin layer, don't overdo it. And then same thing with the concealer. I'm just going to pat it in where I see it. Don't forget this little corner right here. That's where you see a lot of darkness. All right, so now we need to set all this. Powder. Powder is a very controversial thing. People get scared of powder. Don't be scared of powder. Powder is our friend, especially if you're oily. But even if you're drier, you do need a little bit of a setting powder to keep things in place. So I use a tiny bit, and there's different kinds of powder. I am more oily, so I can use a powder with a little more talc in it. So in the center of my face, I actually use a different powder than the rest of my face. This is actually a drugstore brand that I really like. It's the ColourPop. This is not a translucent powder. This powder actually has a little bit of coverage to it. So I like to use this powder to go back over and set the spots where I have the discoloration, the melasma. So you can see there's some color to it. But I'm not using a puff. I'm using this little brush instead. And again, just tapping it off. As you can see in the center of my face, I have larger pores. So I'm going to take this. It's almost like an airbrush effect. To soften the look of the pores in the center. I also do a little bit of this over my eyebrows, because I'm going to fill those in. I get really oily around my eyebrows. Does anybody else have that happen to them? And then I do a little bit right through here in my T-zone. So no, I'm not using this crazy big fluffy brush like powder flying everywhere. I'm being very strategic with where I want to place the powder. Now, underneath the eye area, I use a different powder. I use a loose powder, the Mercier, and I just take the tiniest amount and just gently gonna sweep it to keep it in place. And just a tad right there on the lid. Okay, so now I've set things. If you are a drier skin type, maybe a talc-free powder is better for you, but think about the foundation and concealer you're using. Any silicone-based powder has a little bit more slip to it and is a little bit more finely milled. Like the Makeup Forever HD powder is really great for drier skin if you just want a really finely milled powder. The Mercier Secret Brightening Powder, which was made for the under eye area. I don't think they make it anymore, but I have used it on clients in the center of the face for brightening, which is also really nice if you don't want a really heavy powder. Now, my skin is perfected, but there are other tricks you can do to disguise dark circles, because you can still see mine a little bit, and I am very self-conscious about them as I've gotten older. My dark circles have gotten worse. So there are a couple more tricks that you can do to really disguise the eye from seeing them. So it's bringing some color back into the face for more balance. So I'm going to do some contour and bronzing and blush to really show you how those three things can actually make your dark circles look less obvious. Contour and bronzer. Contour is always more cool. Bronzer is always more warm. So this is one of the hardest things I think a lot of cosmetic companies don't get right, and it is so hard, I think, to find the proper colors for your skin tone. One of my favorite products I found recently for contouring is this Ogee stick. This color is called Copper. I'm not really sure it looks like what you would think a copper looks like, but what I really love is it's a cool tone. So this is great for contouring. So I am just going to take a little bit of it and swatch it my cheekbone. If you're unsure of where to place it, just think about that divot of your cheekbone. I have this little double chin action going on. I'm going to put a little bit right there. And then I'm going to show you a really quick little nose contour while that's sitting there. I'm going to take a little bit with just this, like, it's a synthetic brush. This is from, I'm sorry guys, the label's messed up. I can't see it. A little bit on my brush. And then you're just going to brush the side of your nose. And I'm going to bring it into my eye socket. Okay, and then right here, so I don't mess up all that work, I'm going to take this flat angle brush. I really love the contour of this. It's perfect for your cheekbones. And I'm going to take the brush and just kind of press the product into my skin. And kind of a rule of thumb, you really don't want your contour to really go past this area of your face, otherwise it's going to drag your face down. But this is just going to bring some dimension back into your skin since we've now made it all one color. But remember, we're stippling the product so that you're not wiping a lot of the work that you did away. And then underneath here, I have a really strong jawline, so I don't really need a lot of shading through there. But right here, I kind of want to take that in a little bit. So remember, use your contour, not your bronzer down here, because the bronzer is going to be too warm and too orangey. You want the contour to be more like a shadow. Now I'm going to go back in with a cream bronzer stick. And this is actually a foundation stick from Chantecaille. It's shade number 10, but this is about 3 or 4 shades deeper than me. This has more warmth in it. So I'm going to show you the difference on my hand of this and the contour that I used. It is deeper, but it's also warmer. It's technically not a bronzing stick. It's technically a foundation stick, but I really like it as a bronzing stick, and it gives a nice natural glow. I always like to layer cream products with powder products. I think cream products tend to lay a little bit more natural on the skin, especially as we age. Powders tend to look a little bit more chalky. So again, just bring a little bit of that warmth into my nose. And I stop right there and giving that space because that's where you want to kind of highlight instead. So we're kind of shaping the face in. And listen, this is all depending on your face shape, by the way. I have a wide face, so that's why I'm shading around the edges to bring it in and snatch it in a little bit. But if you have a more oval face shape, you might not need to do all this. Okay, so we have our cream contour and cream bronzer on. So now I'm going to set things. Using the Mercier translucent setting powder. And again, thin layers, guys. You don't need to pile the powder on. This is going to make you look dry and cakey. So I'm going to just gently press right here, right underneath where I did the contour. Tiny, tiny amounts, okay? Because you still want to look kind of glowy, right? We don't want to be super, super matte. I'm going to go back over with a little bit of powder bronzer and then blush, and then we're finished. I know this seems like a lot of stuff, guys, but I promise you this takes me 10-15 minutes in the morning. Okay, bronzer. I love this Chantecaille bronzer. It comes in 2 shades. This is the darker shade called Goa. Why I love this bronzer, it doesn't turn orange. There are so many bronzers out there that turn orangey. No one looks orange when they're bronze. You want to look bronze, not orange. So there is a lighter shade that also does not turn orange for fairer skin. So setting your cream bronzer with a powder bronzer is just going to give you more color impact and longevity so that this really lasts all day. How many times do I hear people say, my makeup doesn't last, I can't see my blush, it disappears? Layering is the trick, and I do this on my brides and my red carpet clients, and this lasts all day, all night. So again, I am pressing the color into my cheeks, not sweeping, so not to mess up the work that we've already done. Work. And again, wherever you put your brush first, that's where you're going to get the most color. So just remember that. Where I have a little bit of this dark circle, this is where it really comes in with the blush. This is such a fun trick, and I think it really helps waken the face up, and it disguises the dark circle. So one of my favorite cream blushes is from Half Magic Beauty. I have this amazing palette with all different colors. I'm actually going to use this hot pink color. I think it's called Sexual Frustration. I'll put it in the comments. This color really wakens my face up and brightens, and it's going to actually help disguise my dark circle a little bit more. So it's a cream to powder formula. I'm just going to put a little bit on my brush, and I'm going to start high up, the highest point of my cheekbone, and I'm going to bring it in a little bit closer to around my eye area where my dark circle starts. Can you see how this side of my face is really brightened and awakened with that color, and the dark circle is disguised by strategically starting my blush right at the bottom where the dark circle starts. Remember, angling upward and just pat it in, and you can just keep adding until you get the desired effect. Some people even like to bring a little bit into the nose for that kind of sun-kissed look. But I think that a cream blush can give you that really nice flushed look and still look natural. And now, bye-bye dark circles. And an even quicker trick that's super easy to disguise, draw attention away from the eyes. So wear something fun and shiny on your lips. I always like lip gloss. This is one of my favorite new ones from Ourself. It's actually a lip conditioner. And this shade is amazing. It's called Sunset Tint from Ourself Lip Conditioner. It's tinted. It's amazing. It's like a gloss, but it's a lip treatment, so it's super nourishing. And just bringing some shine to the lips and a little bit of color takes some attention away from the eyes. So now we have our fresh face. So this is the starting point, and this is the finished look. Okay, so how many products do you think are on my face? Do you guys remember? And how much does everything cost? Well, I'm going to tell you. This is about $440 to $450 worth of products. But yeah, this is how much it costs to do the natural makeup look, and that is not counting what I put in my brows or the lip gloss or the skincare or the brushes. Just the products that I use to do skin perfecting for this natural makeup look. If you're interested in a specific product, please ask me in the comment section. I'll also leave a list of the products I used in the description. So you might be thinking, why 2 foundations, Teresa? I don't want to spend all that money. But yes, you have 2 foundations, but it's going to last you twice as long. So it is an investment, but it's going to last you a long time because you think about the amount of product you're using. It's really going to make a difference. So anyway, if you like the tutorial, please leave me a comment below. Let me know what else you'd like to see. I'm definitely open to what you guys would like to see from me the most. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit like and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Until next time, bye.